everyone, Jim here. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to do something a little special for you today. I'm going to tell you the 7 basic Western plots. Now this was a list that was created by the pulp writer and novelist and screenwriter Frank Gruber. Yeah, but first of all, I want to thank Michael K. Vaughan again for creating June on the Range. I tend to neglect to say that when I do these videos, but yeah, June on the Range was created by Michael K. Vaughan because of his love of Western novels, and we have lots of co-hosts this year who also love Western books. And I'm happy to be involved. So yeah, let's get to the list right now. Number 1 on the list is the Union Pacific story. Now, the Union Pacific story concerns the construction of a railroad or a telegraph line or other type of modern technology on the frontier, and it also includes wagon train stories. So I have 3 examples of that. I'm going to show you some examples as I go through the list. We have a book called Stagecoach Kingdom by Harry Sinclair Drago. And then we have, now I include not just the building of a railroad or a telegraph line, but if the story takes place on a train, I consider that as part of a Union Pacific story. And that would be Breakheart Pass by Alistair MacLean. This is an exciting story that was made into a movie starring Charles Bronson. And then the last example I have is Six Horse Hitch by Janice Holt Giles. The next on the list is the Ranch story. Now, a lot of these plot lines, you'll see multiple plot lines in each book, and a lot of them are just ubiquitous throughout the Western genre, and the Ranch story being one of them. And the Ranch story involves ranch owners protecting their cattle and their land from rustlers and large landowners and the like. So a couple of examples of that would be Knights of the Range by Zane Grey, and the very popular Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. Now, this isn't necessarily a ranch story, but it does involve a cattle drive, and I would include the cattle drive story under the ranch category. The next one on the list is the Empire story, and that involves building a ranch empire or an oil empire, for instance. That one's a little harder to pin down in the Western stories because it's such a broad generalization. But I decided to use this one as an example, How the West Was Won by Louis L'Amour. The next one on the list is the Revenge story. Now, Western fiction is just well suited for the revenge story, and there's lots of examples out there. I have 2, but I mean, all you have to do is just look at any Western book on the shelf, and you can see some kind of revenge plot line within it. But I have Mad River by Donald Hamilton, who was the creator of Matt Helm, and he wrote a few Westerns, and they were very good. And then we have the classic True Grit by Charles Portis, which is a classic revenge story and made into 2 movies, one with John Wayne in 1969 and another in 2010 starring Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cogburn. Now, the revenge story involves an elaborate chase or the pursuit of an individual, and often includes classic mystery elements to the stories. Then we have the Cavalry and Indian Story. Examples here. Now, this is the one I just read the first week of June on the Range, The 7 Men at Membray Springs, and this features the Chiricahua Apache Red Sleeves. And it's a really good story, and this actually incorporates many of the categories in these seven plots. And you'll find that with a lot of these books that there's a lot of different plot lines running through them. Then we have War Bonnet by Clay Fisher, which was a pseudonym for Will Henry. And we have Hondo by Louis L'Amour, the classic, his first novel that he wrote under his own name. Great book, made into a movie with John Wayne, a great movie as well. Next on the list we have The Outlaw Story. Now The Outlaw is exactly what it says. The outlaw dominates the story. And we have The Border Legion by Zane Grey. And the Border Legion is a name of an outlaw gang, so this would come under the category of The Outlaw Story. And then we have a book by William W. Johnstone called 40 Times a Killer, which talks about the outlaw from back in the day, John Wesley Hardin. And the final category on Frank Gruber's list is the Marshall Story, and that's where the lawman dominates the story. And again, there is many, many, many examples out there of the lawman, taking care of business in the Western story. So I've got a few examples here. I've got The Marshal of Sundown by Jackson Gregory. And I have another Will Henry book called Who Rides with Wyatt? And this deals with the gunfight in Tombstone and the vengeance ride afterwards. And then we have a Louis L'Amour novel called Borden Chantry. And Borden Chantry, the Chantry novels are a series of novels that are kind of connected to the Sackett novels. The Chantrys are cousins of the Sacketts, so that's just a good book. Louis L'Amour is just full value for your money. Now, I'm sure many of you out there can come up with categories of your own. I can come up with 4 right now off the top of my head. There's an espionage one, the espionage story, and 2 of the books I just showed you could come under that category. The 7 Men at Membray Springs and Breakheart Pass could come under that category. I would also consider town taming as a category. I don't know if I'd word it that way, but how many stories have you ever read where the good guy comes into town and has to tame a town, rid it of all the owl hoots, and that would be a category. The category of treasure hunting. Again, with Louis L'Amour, he wrote many stories where the characters were hunting treasure, or they came across some gold in the mountains, and I would consider that a category. And then we have the survival story, where the protagonist is trapped in the desert. His horses died, his canteen has no more water, and it's a struggle to survive till he can find the next water hole. So that's 4, just right off the top of my head. I'd be curious if you guys out there could come up with any more. And if you do, list them in the comments below. I'd be curious to see what they are. So that's it. I just wanted to do a quick video to let you know about the 7 Western plots of that Frank Gruber came up with. And it's of interest to people who might be writing Westerns, or people who are just reading a Western and they're curious as to what category it might fall under. So that's it for now. Until next time, take care and keep reading.